And I know a lot of people have watched me grow up on TV, and I've really shared my public life with everyone, and I've really tried to keep my personal life real private. But suddenly, in '98, you were given a window into my personal life when I was diagnosed with my breast cancer. And I knew, because it was announced during the Olympic Games that this was going to be a huge news story. It was my 30th anniversary from winning the medal. And I wanted to make sure that, the announcement was correct, that the facts were stated correctly, and I wanted to make sure that, I told everyone how I was doing. Most importantly, what my diagnosis really was, what my treatment plan was going to be, and most importantly, what my attitude was going to be. It was frightening news. I just felt like the rug had been pulled out of me. But I was told that I had a very curable kind of tumor. I had a 1-centimeter tubular carcinoma with a clear zone around it. And my doctor even told me, he said, "Peggy, if you're going to have cancer, you have the best one." And I went, "Thank you." But I really trusted my doctors. They were very kind and very knowledgeable and very comforting. And Dr. Bertelsen was just so warm, and he just broke the news to me in such a gentle way and with a little bit of humor, which was really good. But, I ended up finding this lump myself. I was getting ready to do the national championships for ABC, and I do my own hair and makeup, and I'm finishing up, and I'm just about to walk out the door. I'm checking myself out, and I was tired that night because it was our 30th anniversary of, kind of like our class reunion of the Olympic team. They brought us all together because Philadelphia was the national championship site in '68. So we all got there, and they had us skate and everything, so I really wanted to look my best. So I checked myself out, and that's when I saw this lump on my chest, because it was a shadow in the hotel room, and I thought I'd never seen that before, and I didn't have one on the right side, and I thought, I work out, I lift weights and things, and I thought, well, maybe I'm cheating, maybe I'm doing more on that side and not too much on the other side. And I kind of didn't think anything of it, because I just had a mammogram 5 months ago. I just had a checkup. It's probably nothing. So I let it go. I kept doing my work, and then even went on the following week to Italy and did the European Championships for ABC. But I was still aware that, this is something that, I probably should have checked out, because it was still there. So I made an appointment, and I thought, well, it's probably nothing, and it'll be a real quick visit to the doctors. And it ended up being a day of doctors. I went to my first doctor, and he said, I'm not too sure about it. I would feel more comfortable if you went to a breast surgeon. And he made an appointment, got on the phone, and within a half an hour, I went to another doctor. And an important thing is that, he sat me down, he said, "Peggy, don't tell me where the lump is. Let me see if I can find it." And he examined me for about 5 minutes, and he said, "I give up. I can't find it." And this is a real lesson for people of, like, you go to your exam. Doctors aren't 100%. A mammogram is not 100%. You have to participate. You have to notice any change. And your participation in doing self-exam is so important. If I hadn't noticed that little change and have it looked at, it may have gone for, another year before I got another checkup. So that day of all the doctors, he ended up, I had to show him where it was. He sent me to get a needle biopsy, and by the end of the day, that was, questionable. And he said, to really feel sure, we really should go and take this lump out and really see what's going on. It's probably nothing. And I said, okay, what does that entail? He said, it's just real simple, be easy. I'll just go and make a small incision and take it out, and it's probably nothing. And I said, well, because I have a performance at the end of the week in Boston, am I going to be okay? And he said, yep, I'll just stitch you up a little tighter, and you can be on your way. And I thought, great. So I left the next morning to go to Boston, and I was a little bit sore, but I just sort of eased in on the training. We had a week of rehearsal, and I felt fine, and you know, just a little bit sore, and I skated pretty well. But my husband kept in touch with the doctors in the lab, and he was the one that first found out that it was malignant. He didn't tell me over the phone. He didn't tell me till I got home, and the doctor said, he called me in, he said, well, we're going to have to go back in and take some more tissue out and take out some of your lymph nodes to see if it had traveled anywhere. And I said, okay. I ended up having a lumpectomy, and I think that was the hardest time during this whole cancer treatment for me, is waiting for those results of the lymph nodes, because if it was going to travel anywhere, that's usually the first place that it goes. And it was like our whole family held its breath because we didn't know what the next step was going to be. But I was very lucky. It hadn't traveled anywhere, and so I would require 2 weeks of recovery and 6 weeks of radiation. And you know, I just thought, oh, I've really dodged it here, and I've gotten over the hard part. And I thought, okay, radiation, how hard can this be? You know, I'm Olympic champion. It's like, I'm gonna show these doctors how to do radiation. And I thought, okay. He said, just carry on your life, and the treatment's real, you know, easy. You just lay on the table, and you know, they zap you for a few minutes, and then it's over. You can carry on your life. So I said, okay, I'm gonna, you know, carry on my life. I feel fine. And you know, I drop my little boy off at school, and then go to treatments, and then go for a run with my friends, and come back and do my chores. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm feeling great. And I even asked my radiologist, since I'm feeling so good, do you think I could go back to Minneapolis and cover the World Championships with ABC and finish my radiation treatments back there? And he went, no, Peggy, you're going to stay right here. And I went, well, okay. So I listened to him, but I did commit to doing a 3-minute live interview via satellite from my living room for ABC to, you know, give them some support that, you know, since I'm not there, I'll give them a report on how I'm doing with my treatments and, you know, how my attitude's doing. And, you know, the satellite people were there all day setting up. It's really cool to have a satellite dish, you know, in your backyard. My son thought that was just fascinating. And, you know, I do 3-minute interviews all the time, and it's like nothing. And I remember doing that, and, you know, they left at about 7 o'clock at night. I woke up the next day, and I was so tired. I just thought, oh my gosh, I am so drained. And it was a real lesson to me of like, you know, you better slow down and really take care of yourself and do these treatments and focus on getting well. And I think that was it was a good time for me. I spent more time with my son. I met some wonderful people at the radiation center, and actually I look forward to going to radiation because these women were so much fun. And we became wonderful friends. I mean, we still keep in touch with each other, and we go out to lunch, and you know, it's a wonderful support and a wonderful bond that you have when you go through these cancer treatments and meet some of these cancer patients. They are, I mean, as you all know, they have such spirit, and it really helped me through all of that. And they were going through a lot tougher thing than I was. But you know, I have a friend, Scott Hamilton, that's been through the tough road, and we share a lot of the same attitudes when it came to cancer, because we treated it like a competition, because we wanted to win, and we wanted to be the best patient these doctors have ever seen. I'll see how athletes do this. But he is a very special guy, and he's doing real well. He just finished doing his touring with ice shows. He sort of retired from that, but he'll probably do special performance here and there. But he's a great guy. He's healthy, doing real well. And, you know, I think any time that you compete, I think you test your heart, you test your determination, and you test yourself. But honestly, I feel that every challenge is a gift. And I think all those past lessons that I've learned in my life of learning how to focus and under pressure, and I think finding my confidence, I think that's what got me through this latest challenge with cancer. But I've also learned a lesson through this cancer experience is a lesson in humility and compassion. I have so much more compassion for people going through treatments like this, and my heart goes out to each and every one of them that have had to endure this, because cancer is a very, very humbling disease. But I've also learned that cancer is not a death sentence. Early detection is the key thing, and it's the thing that saved my life. And I think following those 3 steps of getting your checkup every year, getting your mammogram every year if you're over 40, and doing your self-breast exam, those are the only tools that are available now. There's not a cure, but I think there's hope in sight, but there's not a cure yet. But I think if we can get that message out of early detection, I think in most cases, it's very treatable, as you all know. And I was one of the lucky ones, and if I can help motivate and share that story with other women and help them, that makes me feel like, this experience didn't go for nothing. But what I, tell people, when I hear that they've first been diagnosed, I tell them that, educate yourself, read every article that you can, ask lots of questions, get second opinions, and weigh your options so that you're really comfortable with your treatment plan, and take charge of your health and participate in the decisions that you're making. Participate in it and really listen. When I was first diagnosed, the first people that I called were my 3 sisters, because I knew that this would impact them the most. And they didn't understand why I was sharing my story with so many people and doing interviews and getting myself a little overtired. But it never crossed my mind not to speak out. When I was on Oprah's show, she had flown in a couple from Tennessee, and the husband had seen the announcement during the Nagano Olympics of my diagnosis. And that motivated him to get on the phone and make an appointment for a mammogram for his wife, who had been procrastinating for about, 3 or 4 years. Well, she ended up, going, getting her mammogram, and they found a mass. They did a mastectomy, and she ended up, having to do chemotherapy and reconstruction. And this was like a 35-year-old woman with, young kids, darling family. And, this husband had sent this letter to my husband's office, and, I had given these letters to Oprah's staff, and I had no idea they were flying these people in. Well, he got up in front of the audience and read this letter of how I had saved his wife's life by motivating him to do that appointment for her, and she went in. Well, he was crying, the audience was crying, I was crying, Oprah was crying. It was unbelievable and very humbling to me to know how many people have been touched by me just sharing my story. But I think, being in the public eye, I think forces you to articulate and to define where your strength comes from. And sometimes it does help other people. And as Oprah said, that's the best part of being a public figure, and I agree.